Hey guys, so I want to follow up on what Arvin said yesterday and talk about why your student's gender matters. Okay? So, first of all, for starters, you've got to be on video. You've got to be paying attention. You just have to know, right? Even if I don't tell you why it matters, you have to know because it's your job. So, first off, it's your job and you have to do it. But in addition to that, this is why I want you to think about your student's gender. Okay? Students will develop crushes on their opposite sex tutors. So, if you're a boy tutor and you're working with a girl student and she develops a crush on you and you think that she is a boy, and so you don't think that she has a crush on you and you don't understand why she isn't doing her work very well because you think she's a boy, you're missing a huge thing there. Like, how can we claim to be like effective tutors who can, target issues and spot gaps and find all these things and figure out how to work with students of any variety with any behavioral issues and any background and anything, and then you can't even tell that your student has a crush on you because you think that they're the opposite gender? Like, what buffoonery, honestly, are we then? We're not even doing anything. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what we are. That's not what we're about. We take this to a next level. I mean, the kind of stuff that we're adding into our curriculum right now is looking at like, okay, if the student has gotten 57 questions into the reading curriculum over the course of 5 worksheets, would they then want to experience this type of a question or this type of a question? And what if after 57 worksheets they've only gone through, or 57 questions they've only gone through 4 worksheets instead of 5? And like, how would that change the way that the 57th question feels to them psychologically? If we're in that mode, like, we're so far beyond whether or not you're working with a girl or a boy that, I mean, it's like pre-K, right? Like, you have to know if it's a girl or a boy. We're way, way far beyond that. These are necessary things, okay? Girls, ladies, lady tutors, same thing, okay? If you're working with a boy student, some of you, if you've been here long enough, you've probably had a boy student develop a crush on you, okay? You guys know that this happens. It is a thing. I know that it's been documented in Hollywood, and maybe you think that Hollywood isn't real, and it isn't all the time, but in this case it is. You gotta pay attention to this, okay? Students will develop crushes on you, and sometimes they will develop so much of a crush on you that they have to be switched to a different tutor. It's gotta happen, okay? And in that case, like, if you don't know that that's what's happening, then that student is going to be behind. They're going to fall behind. They're going to not get switched as soon as they should because you're not going to see that issue. You have to see that issue, right? You have to see that. That's one of the biggest things, is that right there. But also, many of our boy students have been pushed away from our, this program because we were too gentle and too hand-holding and too, like, nice, sort of, right? A lot of times, boys don't really necessarily want that, okay? And again, remember, this whole video is I'm speaking in very, very big generalities, sweeping generalities, okay? But a lot of boys don't really want that. A lot of boys come in here and they're just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, tell me how to crush this test. Do I have to do this or this? Good. Done. Boom. Doing it. Moving on. And they're intense and they're like into it. And if you're like, okay, well, I was just thinking we do this worksheet. Like, it's okay if you're scared of it. Like, the boys are going to be like, are you kidding? Why would I be scared of this worksheet? Like, what? Like, what is going on? Like, why do these people think that I'm like an infant child? And they're gonna be offended. Like, they're gonna be upset that you've that you're treating them this way. Okay, that's like an important thing to know. You gotta know that it's a boy, and you have to understand like your child's personality. And a lot of our personalities come from our gender. A lot of personality comes from your gender. I mean, you could never make an argument to me. You really can't make an argument to me that personality doesn't matter at all when you're being a private tutor. And therefore, the next step is gender definitely matters, right? It matters a lot. It's a huge, huge thing. Girls in our society are usually more rule following. They're more amenable. They're more willing to do things if you tell them to do it. However, they are also usually more fearful. This is just how we've raised girls in our society. Do I like it? Doesn't matter. That's not the point of this video. The point is, it is true. A lot of girls come into us and they're afraid. The girls are the ones who come in and when they can't do a math problem, they break down crying. That's not a thing that you're going to experience with boys, but it's a thing that you need to know. Again, if you're not on video, you're not going to know that your girl student is crying while you think that she's a boy. That's not going to work, okay? So you can't do that. Like, that situation is, one, it's what loses us business. And two, it's just absolutely unacceptable. Our job is to inspire these kids. Our job is to be there for these kids in a way that other people are not. These kids' parents are often way too critical. The kids' parents are, pushing them really, really hard and maybe like not very understanding from the student's perspective. Okay. And the students have a hard time with the parents. Kids always have a hard time with their parents. And the students' teachers at school are just like usually garbage. Every once in a while you get a good one. That's cool. But I mean, these kids are miserable. I've told you this so many times, right? You need to be the one that's there for them. And you can't be there for them if you just don't even know like a basic fact about them. Okay. You guys know that I get all upset all the time when I can't figure out how old a student is. Now, obviously, that's harder to figure out, okay? I can't just look it up on Google. You can look it up on Google and figure out what the gender is. So, no excuses. But I get upset when I don't know how old a student is, because also, in the same way, if I don't know if my child, if my student is 7 or 17, how on earth am I going to be an effective tutor? I'm not. I cannot effectively tutor a 7-year-old if I think that she's 17. It's not working. It doesn't work. And that's why it infuriates me. It's one of the most irritating things ever. Now, I understand that every once in a while you're going to make a mistake, okay? I have made mistakes before. I have looked at a name and just instantaneously thought, oh yeah, that's definitely a girl's name, and I was wrong. Knowing that it is possible for you to make mistakes, just extra verify, I mean, like, Arvin sees all these people because he does the consultations. He sees them in person, face to face. But you do additional steps to verify, right? Like Arvin said, even if you're not directly talking to him. So, there are all sorts of differences in the ways that boys learn, the ways that girls learn, the ways that boys interact with people of all genders, right? Maybe boys are more combative a lot of times, girls are less combative, whatever, okay? There are generalities. From there are differences. If you have, a boy student who acts nothing like a boy at all, that still is like a useful thing to know. But you gotta start knowing, you have to know their gender, right? It is very important. So, take this information with you. Let me know if you have any questions. Do it. And stay fancy.